Hey guys, this is Adrian with the Upholstery Studio, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 beginner upholstery tips I wish I knew sooner. Now, just like you guys, when I was getting started out, I kept seeing all of these badass jobs that were just way beyond my skill level. I didn't know how they were doing it, and they weren't really telling me either. And I didn't really want to wait 5 years to figure it out. So in this video, these tips I'm hoping are going to help accelerate you on your upholstery journey. So let's get into it. Tip number 1 is going to be use clamps. Now, as simple as that sounds, this is a huge lifesaver and just really improves the quality of life when sewing a project. Now, what I mean by that, you can find little 1-inch clamps, and if you look in some of my videos, you'll see them. And I'm also going to link them down in the description, so if you want to buy some, go for it. They'll be down there. So basically, the problem I'm constantly running into is whatever I'm sewing, whether it be extremely big, small, the material slightly stretchy, or one side's heavier than the other, and you're trying to feed it through the machine and sew them together, and one side's pulling a little bit too hard and they don't line up in the end. What really helps with this is using those clamps. What you should have on your materials is match marks, and I can get into that in another video, but line up your material where it needs to be and then just hold them together with the clamps. That eliminates so much headache when trying to make sure your pieces are lined up under the machine and they don't slide around and they get all crooked. Use clamps to hold them together and it will save you so much headache when trying to sew stuff. Tip number 2. That is going to be draw dotted lines. Don't draw full lines. What I mean by that is when you have your pattern and you're going to trace the pieces of your pattern onto the actual material, don't draw the full line because that takes up so much time. Use my last video as an example where I reupholstered that barrel chair. That had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That had 12 individual panels to that whole project, and if I were to draw those whole lines, it would have taken me hours because that's just so tedious. What I do instead, just draw a dotted line around the thing. You don't have to draw the pattern perfectly the exact way the pattern is. Simplify everything as much as possible, and when drawing out your patterns, draw dotted lines. That's all you need. You just need yourself a guide to cut straight. You don't have to have a full line because when you have a project and if you trace everything, it's going to take forever. It really does add hours and hours to a project, especially the bigger the project. So simplify things and just draw little dotted lines. As silly as that sounds, that is a huge tip that has saved me countless hours, like actually. Tip number 3 is going to be probably the most important tip I can say, and that is invest in a servo motor, not a clutch motor. Now, the difference between the two, I have a clutch motor in my garage right now. That is the motor that is on my machine. Number one thing that is most annoying about those motors, they let out a constant hum when they're on, even if you're not using it. If that button is turned on, it's going to let out an annoying ass hum constantly. It drives me insane. I absolutely hate it. That's the biggest thing that is wrong with them. I personally hate. The second thing that is incredibly annoying, it's not as easy to control. And what I mean by that, it only has one speed and it isn't very steady at that. Sometimes I'll be able to lightly press a pedal and it'll start nice and smooth. Other times it doesn't want to start and it'll kind of catch and then do this annoying speed up thing. They're not really steady, for me at least. I've been sewing for 10 years. I don't know, maybe I just suck. But overall, steer clear of clutch motors. They are awful, really. Servo motors are much better. First of all, they are dead silent. They don't make a noise when they're on. Make sure you actually turn it off because it's easy to forget. Second of all, they have a speed control. There's a little dial on most of them. You can actually set the motor to a certain speed limit and it will not sew any faster than that, which is super convenient, especially for beginners. I have taught many people how to sew, and one of the biggest reasons why the people I've taught were able to learn so quickly was because the sewing machine wasn't going lightning fast beyond their capabilities. They were able to turn it down to the speed they were comfortable with and move it up gradually as they got better and better and had more control. So basically, invest in a servo motor. They are much more user-friendly and they are way less annoying. But still, do your research. But take my word for it, get a servo motor, not a clutch motor. Tip number 4 is going to be use dry silicone spray. Now, Adrian, what in the world is dry silicone spray? I'm glad you asked. Dry silicone spray is exactly what it sounds like. It comes in a little spray can and many different shapes and sizes, but it's a dry silicone. You spray it on the table, it leaves a very thin surface of this silicone, completely dry. You don't feel any residue, but it allows anything to slide. It makes the surface super slick. So I will actually spray this all over my table. Try not to like spray it directly on your machine, but spray it around your table, just a light thin layer, let it dry for a few seconds, and you will find it is surprising how stuff slides across it, especially when you're making really big projects. Like a few videos ago, I made a 53-foot boat cover. I don't think I would have been able to make that boat cover if it weren't for dry silicone spray, because that boat cover at the end ended up weighing close to like 70 pounds. And if you can imagine dragging 70 pounds worth of material on a table through a machine to sew it all, it doesn't really work out that great. The silicone spray really did make it super easy to spray. Also, another trick with the silicone spray, spray your scissors with it. I've found a lot of times when I'm doing upholstery especially, and I'm trying to sew foam to whatever material, you're cutting through glue and everything, just douse your scissors in silicone spray, and that actually does really well to keep glue and other residue off and allows your scissors to glide quite easy. So silicone spray, a lot of people sleep on it. I would definitely get some. Tip number 5, use a steam gun to remove adhesive and rejuvenate foam. You will be surprised what a steam gun can actually do to foam. Let's say you're redoing a simple staple-on cushion. You got the foam glued to whatever surface, whether it be plywood or PVC board, and you're trying to rip it off, or you got your paint scraper and you're trying to scrape it off, and it's just super annoying. You're getting shit everywhere, and it's just a hassle. Takes too much elbow grease. There's got to be an easier way. Use a steam gun, heat it up. It will take everything off, and it is just so much easier to remove whatever may be stuck together. Just heat it up a little bit with some steam. Boom, done, easy peasy. Also, you can use steam to rejuvenate foam quite well. There have been many times where I've been able to avoid having to remake all the foam for a job because I was able to get it to puff back out with steam. Sometimes you'll be able to see the foam even expand a whole inch because it's been compressed so long. When in doubt, steam it out. I always touch everything I do with steam just to see if it'll rejuvenate. And 9 times out of 10, it does a lot. So invest in a steam gun. There's many different kinds. I'll link the one that I use down in the description. So go check that out if you're interested. And that's going to wrap this up for this video. I hope these 5 tips help you out. Definitely let me know down in the comments if they do, and if there's another video you're hoping to see in the future. I'm going to be honest, I'm pretty hungry now, so I'm going to go grab some food, and I will see you guys in the next one.